Hey, what is up guys? This is Lemillion Nation coming to you again with another video. Now guys, this video that I'm bringing to you today is going to be a character analysis, and the character that we're going to analyze is Mirio Togata. Now we're going to look into each and every facet of this character. We're going to analyze him clearly so that you guys can get all that you need to know about Mirio. Now guys, let's get into the video without any further ado. Now the first thing that we're going to talk about is his name, Mirio Togata. You'll be surprised just how multifaceted a name can be. Now, Mirio plays on the word million, and million is a part of Lemillion's philosophy. Lemillion wants to save over 1 million, or at least 1 million persons, before he can actually inherit the true name of himself, his hero name, All Million. And All Million in and of itself plays on All Might's name. All Might, all powerful, all million, each and every person. That's what Mirio wants to save throughout the course of his life, but at first he needs to save at least 1 million, right? Now guys, the Togata portion of his name refers to 10, and this 10 is speaking to the portion of the time when Deku wanted to give Mirio his powers, willingly pass them on to Mirio because he was feeling so distraught at the time. But Mirio, being Mirio, refused. If Mirio was supposed to accept Deku's power, let's say Mirio did accept it, he would have been the 10th user of One for All. But Mirio, being Mirio, refused because he knows what it's like to suffer. As I'm going to get into for the rest of this video, Mirio knows what it's like to actually suffer. Mirio knows what it's like to be powerless and helpless and being someone who needs saving. Right? He doesn't want Deku nor anyone else for that matter to be in the shoes that he was in, and I believe that's why he jumped in front of the bullet like that, to protect Eri, right guys? So that is the Togata portion of his name. Mirio is a person who actually works very hard. He's very determined, he's very driven. Even though he lost his quirk, he fought against Chisaki for over 5 minutes before any other help would arrive, and Chisaki was a person who would one touch, one kill, and Mirio survived. Even without his power, Chisaki was laughing at him, and Mirio actually found a way to still fight him. He never lost hope, even though Chisaki's quirk was still in effect, like Chasaki, sorry, his quirk was still in effect. Mirio was still drunken, and like there are other persons there, Eri was there as well. Mirio never lost hope, right? Like his name refers to someone who is a normal person. His character is built off of a normal person. In fact, he's based off of Tintin. Now, Tintin is a character from The Adventures of Tintin who's just normal. He just looks plain. He's just meant to represent any other person. Just like Mirio. Mirio represents any other person. Like every guy, any guy, right? But Mirio, he worked so hard, he was so dedicated, and through that dedication and hard work, he built himself up to go from someone who didn't have a very useful quirk any at all to someone who was the closest to the power, to All Might. He was closest to inheriting All for One as well too, because All Might was going to give Mirio the quirk as well, right? Like he was even trained by Sir Night-Eye, that's All Might's disciple, right, to get the quirk. But he didn't get the quirk because, Deku came along and so on. But anyhow, he was supposed to get the quirk, and it was through his hard work and dedication. It shows us that anybody, like he shows us that anybody, if they work really hard and dedicate themselves, they can be what he is right now. Someone who can save anyone they wish to. You can do anything you put your mind to. Every man can become what Mirio is. That's what his character represents. Alright guys, so we're going to get into Mirio's powers. Now, Mirio's power is called permeation, and this quirk was noted to be a very, very difficult and dangerous quirk to master as well. Mirio's father told him at a young age that, look, Mirio, this quirk is so dangerous that we can actually split in two, because this quirk was actually held by his father first and passed on through genetics to Mirio, so he knows the drawbacks of it. So Mirio's father gave up on becoming a hero for these reasons, the drawbacks of permeation. But Mirio wanted to become a hero, right? So he worked at it and his father helped him train. Like, Mirio was so cheerful, even from he was very young, he was so cheerful and he never gave up hope. So Mirio continued to train and train and train. Like, in middle school he was unable to pass through a simple plank while he was actually training, but with continuous effort he was able to actually make it and pass UA's entrance exam and make it into UA. But he still continued to face difficulties, like each and every time he would actually face, his clothes would fall off of him, so that would be embarrassing, and he would never allow that to be something that stopped him. He was unable to really control his quirk, so much that he was in last place in his class. He barely made it to UA. While he was last place in his class, he continued to be last place, but he never gave up hope. Even at that time, he continued to look on Tamaki, his best friend, as someone who could inspire him and be there, even though he couldn't really train with him, be there for him to help him. But anyway guys, let's continue on with permeation. Now, permeation is a quirk that when Mirio activates it, he needs to have extreme focus, because if he doesn't, he can actually split apart, right? But Mirio needs to actually perform a complex set of motions to do even a simple task. Like, if he wants to actually step across a wall, he needs to activate permeation on all of his body except one foot. Put one foot through the wall, then keep one foot on the other side active without permeation, and then the other foot, that's once it goes through the wall, activate permeation, and then he takes in the other foot while activating permeation on all the other side of his body so that he can go through completely. That's just a simple step for Mirio. He can do this with ease. He mastered this quirk. He can do this with ease, and he can actually pass through any and every object. Even if he's rushing, he can pass through them same ways. He did just through vigorous training, and that's why he caught the eye of Sir Nightai as well at the sports festival. When he really embarrassed himself and he couldn't really do much, he caught the attention of Sir Nightai. And then from then on, Sir Nightai noticed that he could be someone who could actually surpass All Might. He could actually inherit the quirk that All Might had. Sir Nightai saw that in him, so he actually took him in his agency, trained him in a vigorous training course to actually inherit One for All, and All Might was going to give Mirio as well, because he heard about Mirio from the various advisors at UA, and they were pointing him out, right, and saying how talented he is, right. Now, Mirio has mastered his quirk to such a degree that he can kick through a hostage, like namely Eri, right? He didn't actually kick her, but his foot phased through her, and then it hit the guy that was holding Eri. He kicked away the guy that was holding Eri, all while part of his foot was still phasing through Eri. Mirio actually punched Chisaki, even though Chisaki with one touch any at all, he could actually destroy Mirio with one touch. Mirio phased a portion of his hand through Chisaki and then kept phasing that part that he didn't touch Chisaki while he was punching Chisaki at the same time. So he was punching while phasing and avoiding all of Chisaki's attack. Mirio can actually phase through spikes with portions of his body while he's holding Eri above all of the spikes, because he cannot phase other persons. That's another downfall of this quirk. He cannot phase other persons. But Mirio mastered this quirk to such a degree that he could do all that while fighting and focusing, and like, wow. This is why Mirio is one of my favorite characters, guys. Like, he can actually perform such a complex set of movesets, like blind or peaky eyeball touch. I think that's what the name is called. Blind or peaky eyeball touch. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, blinder touch eyeball crush. So Mirio uses his fingers and points it towards a person's eyes, coming towards your eye. You're gonna definitely try and blink, because you don't know if his fingers are physical or not. There's no way of telling whether permeation is actually activated or not, because Mirio doesn't glow, nothing. His body looks just the same as when he's using permeation than when he's not using it, right? So you don't know if he's gonna actually crush your eyeballs as well with his fingers, because he's very strong. So when Mirio actually does that, it passes through your eyes, and then Mirio actually phases through and then he actually punches you in the stomach, right? After he does that, because he's not going to really crush your eyes. Well, you don't know that, but then he hits you in the stomach with it. That's a complex portion of Mirio's power that we really, that you know, is very complex and very useful. Now, before I actually discuss another segment of Mirio's power, like he can actually phase through matter and he continues to fall until he falls towards like probably even the Earth's crust. But when Mirio actually goes down that far, like if Mirio actually tries to use his permeation quirk and starts falling to the floor, if he actually deactivates his power, the laws of physics states that two separate occurring units of matter cannot exist in the same place at the very same time, right? So Mirio's power works on that principle. If Mirio's body is inside a solid object, when he deactivates permeation, he's actually shot out or expelled from the spot where he's at to a new location, and Mirio has mastered this power so much that he can control his trajectory. Like, this is one of the bases for Mirio's new and innovative move, one of his strongest moves as well, Phantom Menace. When he actually phases down into the ground, he is shot out into the direction that he wants to be shot out in, and he does that in such a rapid succession that he continues to hit the person over and over and over and over again while he's phasing in and out of objects, and it's almost instantaneous, like he's teleporting, right? And that's where he continues to hit the person over and over and over again. That's Phantom Menace. Like, Mirio's power has such drawbacks as well that his eyes doesn't receive light when he actually activates permeation over his eyes, so he doesn't see anything, he doesn't hear, he doesn't smell, he doesn't feel, he cannot taste, and none of his senses work while he's using permeation, and he can split in two if he uses it carelessly. That's just such a massive drawback, right? But Mirio trained so much that he could actually master it with the help of Serenata and Tamaki as being his inspiration. They're the sun that's there to guide him, you know? Like, he would actually fall forever if he wanted to, right? But you know, air doesn't really pass through his lungs either while he's falling, so he has to deactivate it at some point in order to get some air, right? So guys, yeah, his clothes actually falls off too. So that's Mirio's power in a nutshell. Let's move on to the next segment. Alright guys, so Mirio's quirk type is a transformational quirk, and its range is close range. It was first debuted in the manga chapter 122, and the anime debut was in episode 62. That was just some information that I think you guys would really like to have too. Now, Mirio's character takes his motivation from the X-Men's Shadowcat, right? But they are different. They both can actually phase through objects, but Shadowcat can actually see where she's going. She doesn't need as much focus as Mirio. No, and like Mirio was the epitome of what a student should be. Not even a student, like most pro heroes should actually look up to Mirio as well, because none of them, well, most of them don't work as hard as Mirio. So he shows the difference between pros and students. While Shadowcat, she was mainly just like someone to like, she had abilities and she was just there, she was just average as well too, even though she had those abilities, but she doesn't have the same weaknesses. Light doesn't pass through her as how it passes through Mirio. Even though we can still see him, the light doesn't pass through his retina, but we can actually see him on the physical plane even when he activates his permeation quirk. But Shadowcat, we can actually see her and she can see us, she can see everything too, because the light doesn't pass through her retinas, and I believe all her senses work while she's activating her quirk, right? Now the second inspiration for our Mirio's quirk is from a video game. So guys, have you ever seen those video games where whenever two objects collide, like one phases through the other like that? It functions like a glitch in a video game, right? So that's where his actual character motivation comes from, really. Like, he actually fought Chisaki, right? When he went to rescue Eri, he fought Chisaki, he fought off Chisaki's own stool, the different pillars of the Hasaikai group, he fought them along with Chisaki both together, right? Mirio lost his power, but he kept on fighting a long time, right? He kept on fighting a very long time in order to hold up Chisaki until others could actually come and help, yeah? Like Mirio, as I mentioned before, his quirk was possessed by his father. His father possesses the same quirk as him, but like it was genetically passed down to Mirio. So there are two uses of permeation quirk. Mirio's father, who didn't actually continue training with it, and Mirio, who continued to train with it because he wanted to be a hero. He chose that path. He chose what he chose in order to be a beacon of hope for others, in order to help others. He doesn't want glory or power or anything like that. He just wants to help. So guys, like, this is a breakdown of Mirio's character. There's going to be a part 2 to this where I break down the psychology of Mirio and explain how his power works, why it works the way it works, and actually how his psychology is similar to how his quirk actually functions. So look out for part 2 of this series, and I'll have a lot of other character analyses. How does that go? Anyway, I'll have other analyses. I will have more analysis for different characters, guys. Thank you so much. Remember to subscribe. Thank you for watching to the end. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that subscription button. Hit that like button, guys, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for sticking through to the end. And this is Lemillion Nation signing out.